Hello everyone and welcome to another Pyro Gaming video. So a few days ago I made a video showing some of the best Titan builds and subclasses and exotic pairings, and you guys commented on it and said that you wanted the same type of video for both PvE and PvP, and you wanted Warlocks and Hunters. So I'm going to do Warlock PvE and we will just keep the series going. So first, there are a bunch of exotics on the Warlock that are really good that are not linked to a specific subclass. So let's talk about those first. Nezarec Sin, Void Kills Increase Ability Regen. This does work with Void weapons, but it's best to use this on a Void subclass. But technically this is not an agnostic or exotic. You can use this on any subclass you want, but it does work best on Voids. This one, Winter's Guile and Karnstein Armlets. Both of these are for melees, and they work with any subclass. They also pair really well with the Thunder Coil mod that you can buy down here, and even this one. They stagger overshield enemy compounds. But if you're going to use it with these, then you're committing yourself to an arc build, whereas if you don't use those mods, these can be used with anything. Ophidian Aspects is another one that can be used with any subclass. Improved weapon ready speed, reload, and melee range. Super underrated exotic right now. If you are using the Izanagi's build for boss damage and raids and stuff like that, this will help you tremendously because it improves your ready speed, it improves your reload, and it also cuts back on that cooldown time before you can shoot again. That's your ready speed. So Ophidian Aspects works with any subclass, and it is really, really good for the Izanagi's build and, you know, other things too. Chromatic Fire is another one that's very valuable, can be used with anything. These two are linked. Lunafactions, still very viable. I mean, it's not a necessity at this point like it was for the past year, but still really good. Rifts reload weapons, it increases your reload speed, and Empowering Rift increases range. If you use a lot of fusion rifles, that Empowering Rift buff is really, really good, man. It really is. Transversives buff sprinting reloads current weapons. Another one that is super good and super useful, and I think kind of underrated. And things like the raid when you're running around a lot, really valuable right here. I really enjoy it. But for the most part, if you have if you're having trouble picking a subclass, I would say, picking an exotic, Lunafactions is still probably your best bet. But if you're in a fire team and you have a Titan with a rally barricade, do you, man. Like, don't worry about these, you do you. So, starting with Dawnblade, let's talk about some of the builds and exotics that pair specifically to them. In my personal opinion, of the two Dawnblade trees, this one right here is so much better than this one. This one has Igniting Touch, Faded to the Flame, Phoenix Dive, and Everlasting Fire. All of these are really good, and it just, in my opinion, it beats everything up here. So I'm going to talk about this one. So if you're using Dawnblade, bottom tree Dawnblade, a 2-minute flame, you can pair that with something like Sunbracers. Solar grenades burn longer, melee kills restore them. This is actually a pretty underrated exotic right now too in the Garden of Salvation raid, because you have to defend these pillars and the Vex are constantly trying to sacrifice. You can throw a grenade on that with these on and it'll burn for like 10 seconds and just kill anything that comes near it, and it's really, really valuable. Another thing that you can do is... That's it. It's the only solar one. It's the only solar one for that one. Alright. Thought I had another one, but I did not. So that's pretty much the only one for this. But for Well, you can do the solar build for Sunbracers again. And this is what I was looking for. You can also do Phoenix Protocol. Gain super energy for kills and assists inside Well of Radiance. Now this one is, in my opinion, more valuable than Lunafactions are now, because they nerfed super regen basically across the board. The amount of super energy that you get back from kills and from orbs and stuff like that, it's all been reduced. So this one's pretty valuable, even though they did nerf Phoenix Protocol as well. If you can get 25-30% of your super back, that's a big bonus. That's like a minute and a half you just took off your super cooldown time. So we're going to move on to Voidwalker here. Top tree is Slova Bomb. We will talk about its pairings real quick, and there's not a lot. Skull of Daira Himkara, this falls under the same category as Phoenix Protocol. You get some super energy back if you get a lot of kills. Very valuable exotic. And you also have Nezarec Sin. Again, this one works with Void weapons, but if you pair it with void abilities as well, you're going to get a lot more out of it. And if you pair that overall with Oppressive Darkness, you can debuff a lot of enemies. This is, honestly, if I'm running a Void subclass, this is a must-have for me at this point. I don't take this off. It's just way too valuable of a perk to have to not use. It gives you a 30% damage debuff to bosses, which basically equates to you doing 30% more damage. It is incredibly good, man. Really, 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 really good. I have been using Bottom Tree Nova Bomb, Attunement of Hunger, otherwise known as the Devour build. I've been using it more in Shadowkeep than I have this one. Devour is a super good perk, man. Super good. It gives you 10 seconds to get your next kill, and if you get that next kill, you get health back, and it also increases your ability regeneration. It is super good, man. Like, done right, this can be grenade and melee spam. So that opens up the door for you to pair it with Skull of Dire Ahamkara if you want a super build, pairing it with Nezarec Sin if you want a grenade build or a melee build, and even pairing it with these two down here if you just want a straight melee build. There's a lot of options for this subclass. And again, if you pair it with the Oppressive Darkness mod, then you're just going to debuff everything and you are going to mow down enemies. It is so good, man. It really and truly is. Right now, this is my favorite Warlock subclass, right here, Attunement of Hunger. The next one is going to be Nova Warp, and if you are in PvE, don't use Nova Warp. It's not strong enough in PvE to outclass either of these two, so, I mean, in my opinion, there's just no reason to use it. As far as grenades go, I do like Vortex grenades because it creates an AoE, and to me, this is the easiest one to hit a boss with whenever you are trying to get Oppressive Darkness running. So that's your Void subclasses. Let's move on to Stormcaller. Between the two, these are really similar. This one, the only difference is what it comes down to for me is Transcendence versus Landfall. Like, that's the main difference between these two for me. So, Transcendence, when cast with full grenade and melee energy, Storm Trance lasts longer and fully restores health. This is really valuable in PvE because you can use this as a panic super and stay alive. Whereas Landfall, it is good if you are in a big group of adds surrounding you, but I think that overall this one is the more valuable of the two. This subclass pairs really well with Crown of Tempests. Arc ability kills restore arc abilities. It also pairs incredibly well with the new Storm Dancer's Brace. Each enemy you defeat with Storm Trance increases the damage you deal with Storm Trance. Now, this isn't like each time you get a kill it goes up 5% and caps at 5. This is, I want to say, like it gives you 100% more each time you do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's actually a lot. This is a very valuable exotic, and I really like it with this Top Tree because Top Tree makes your Storm Trance last longer. So that's why I prefer it, and it pairs super well with this. Next, we will go ahead and talk about Chaos Reach. A general rule of thumb for me for the Stormcaller subclasses is Storm Trance is for adds, Chaos Reach is for bosses or powerful enemies. And as far as Chaos Reach goes, you can pair it with the same ones that we just talked about, except this one. This one doesn't work with it. But I would recommend Geomag Stabilizers, man. These things right here are made specifically for Chaos Reach, and yeah, they're really valuable. Sprinting can add super energy, and Chaos Reach is extended. So really, really good, really strong exotic. And as far as the bottom one here, like I said, they're basically interchangeable for me. But everything that I said about this one can also be applied to this one. As far as grenades, I typically go with pulse grenades just because they have an AoE and they keep killing enemies, and they seem to be the strongest of the three. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The last thing that I'm going to say about Stormcaller is that you can pair it with Risk Runner, and it'd be very, very strong because Risk Runner gives you the overshield even when it is not your equipped weapon. So for example, if I had Revoker out, I can still get Superconductor. And the last thing is it pairs really well with Thunder Coil and Unstoppable Melee. Now these two require you to have arc melees, so that's why you would pair it with this, and that's what I was talking about earlier, is those two mods and the Arc subclasses pair really well with Winter's Guile and Karnstein Armlets if you want to just have a silly, goofy melee build. But that is going to do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, click like. If you are new to the channel, click subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, I fucking love you. I will talk to you guys in the next video. We will go over Hunters next. Thanks for watching. Take care, guys.